Today I'm going to tell you what the narcissist does when he loses you. There are a number of things that the narcissist starts to do, the narcissistic person, when he is losing you and when he loses you. You want to know what the narcissist is doing and what the narcissist is thinking when he has lost you. Stay until the end because I leave the best for last. Always with my personal conclusion. Well, the first thing the narcissist is going to do when he loses you is to try to win you back. As a good control. This person wants to have everything under control, an iron control. They also like to always have people close to them. They feel that they are always owed something by others. They feel that somehow if they don't discard them, and even then the discard is never final, they always feel that people are indebted to them and that they are possessions. Therefore, if you give an end date and you have decided to walk away, the first thing they are going to try to do is to get the famous Jubilee back to cajole you again. In addition, they are going to try to contact you, of course, to exercise that masterful manipulation technique that they have. And they will always try to come back to you with the old tricks, that is to say, they will hit you where it hurts the most and they know it, so looking for your weak points, they are going to affect you in those points and in those weaknesses that you know that you have, and he or she will also, and they will go there so they don't give up. They don't give up easily, you know very well that, well, it may take time because they may be on their own, right? The narcissist will do when I'm not around is to hate you, start hating you, and will start to hate himself much more, especially if he sees you happy, because realize that his self-esteem is very fragile. And they're always going to be resentful, right? He gets resentful in a pretty fast way. Also, their self-esteem depends a lot on the image that others have of them, that is here, because they don't really love their true selves, right? They've created a perfect, adorable image that they expose to others, and that image that others like is the one that they love, the one that they want. So when you leave, that image suffers, therefore they hate you, and they hate themselves even more. Next thing the narcissist will do once you disappear, leave, put space, right? Initiate zero contact. Will try to make you believe that it's your fault, try to make you feel bad about yourself, and this they do once again because of the insecurity they have. And because they always need to put the blame and responsibility on others, they are never going to be responsible for things, right? So this thing that is so commonly used, blaming the victim, right? Well, they are going to use it. Of course they will. They're going to try to make you believe that you're to blame for the relationship not being able to go forward. And they're going to try to make you believe that, well, that you are the one person who is to blame for all the evils, right? There is and there isn't. The next thing the narcissist will do when they lose you is to play the victim. Of course they will, as a result of the previous point. Hey, well, they're going to be left logically in the face of the social gallery as the damaged, the harmed, the victims, the people who are not at fault and who they always have to wash their image and look like the good guys. For this, they will need to manipulate again, to lie, to make up a lot of the reality, right? Well, then you can find yourself with the famous smear campaign, of course, and you can find yourself with new realities, right? New realities, right? Strange that all of a sudden it turns out that your ex-partner, that is you, was this or that, and nothing could be further from the truth. The next thing they will try to do after realizing that they have lost you is to try to hurt you in any way they can. And how do they do that, Gemma? Well, however they can, really, however they can try, and however they can manage it. Anyway is anyway. They want to keep you in their lives no matter what the cost. And if necessary, make a smear campaign against everyone, against you in front of everyone, so that only this person is a safe roof, right, to come back to. Well, they're going to do it. We'll always establish any type of abuse and manipulation that is necessary to get you back, to re-engage you. And by the way, well, if it hurts you as much as possible, well, he doesn't care either, right? It's not that he does it on purpose, but he doesn't care either because he has no empathy or any interest in people in particular, right? Well, he's not going to see it either. Let's say that the end always justifies the means, right, for these people, right? And as they are the protagonists, not of their life, which should always be so, but of everybody's life, right? Well, whatever they do will be justified by that. Imagine how dangerous this argument is. Next thing the narcissistic person will do when they lose you, right? And that is they will try to make you feel guilty, right? They will try to make you feel guilty about leaving them. Because really, well, they never want to deal with the responsibility, with the guilt. They will never see that they are part of the problem. The problem is always going to be with you. Then it is possible that they tell you that they love you and that they care about you. Let's see, you will see it very easy because they talk a lot, but in reality they show little, eh? Actions are more difficult, eh? Talking, you can talk a lot, and then when it comes to putting it into practice, it is more complicated. Then it is possible that they tell you that they love you, that they care about you, and then in practice you don't see anything. And it is also possible that when you try to leave this person, she also tells you that she could not live without you, that she cannot function without you. This type of love is so possessive, isn't it? So yes, so controlling, so possessive, so toxic. Well, it has to be examined carefully. It is true that it is something to take into account, right? And then they will make you feel guilty. They may even accuse you of having an affair. And again, it's like a conscience, isn't it? An inner, internal conscience that never lets them. Because of that fragile self-esteem and because of that latent insecurity always, it never allows them to carry. Let's say that guilt or responsibility would be too much weight on their back. Next thing the narcissist is going to do, and we are getting into it, aren't we? Well, when he loses you, he's going to destroy your reputation. He's going to destroy your image, talking about the famous smear campaign, right? We're talking about parasitic and extremely envious people who get close to you thinking, or to one, because in what materially is going to be better for them, right? There is always an intention, an interest. That has nothing to do with the person genuinely, but with something that the person has, be it contact, be it money, be it whatever. So let's say they admire and envy. They admire at first very superficially and envy most of the time what you possess and they don't have. They want to project themselves through you. Therefore, they are going to destroy you the moment you don't give them access to what they want, right? That is. Well, it's not with me, it's against me. They're always going to think in a totally polarized yes or no way. Then they will despise you once they realize that you are living your best life without them. It's a big attack on their ego, and they are just looking for your reaction. And they are simply looking for your reaction in the moment you realize that the smear campaign is working against you. And you see people turning against you, don't you? Because, well, you've spread false rumors. You're aware that there's a smear campaign against you, and they're seeking your reaction. They are really looking for your reaction. They are looking to regain that control through your reaction. What to do in these cases? Well, logically not to react, the non-reaction will imply that the narcissist will not get away with it. She is looking for you to go after him, her in some way too. He's looking for you to go looking for him in some way, isn't it? Somehow, well, you try to repair the damage caused. The moment you see that your trickery doesn't work, you don't get any reaction. Well, this campaign has to end someday. I know that many times you have written to me that I am in a defamation campaign. I even see people in my practice who are in a smear campaign for years and years, and what can I do? Well, what you can really do is do nothing. I mean, well, people talk, don't they? People talk, and then there are other people who have the decision to believe them or not to believe them. Decision to believe them or not to believe them. From that point on, what to do. What to do? We can't do anything. We can't really control the situation, and neither can they. They can't either. I mean, they are going to spread lies and false rumors about you, and then the people are the ones who are in control and the damage. We can't control what is said about us or what people believe about us. What we can control is how we take it, that it doesn't affect us, that it does not influence us and does not react. That is to say, this would be to treat it as, well, that is it. This person is talking. He is talking nonsense. He is talking things that are not true. and as they are not true, I should not care. I will go on with my life. The next thing that the craftsman will do once he understands that he loses you is to get angry, very angry. The anger will come into his life and into yours. You will get angry. And you will realize it if you're on the front line when he gets mad. Gets angry, gets enraged, screams, kicks, even depending on the person and the context. It can even... So be very careful because, well, there are people who do not handle this well. They do not control themselves well. And it is true that there are moments in which one can run a certain risk and a certain danger. Certain risk and certain danger. If this is the case and you know it well, if it is possible that it is, take cover, take shelter. The first thing is your own safety, that of your children or that of your vulnerable people close to you. The first thing always, always, always has to be safety, personal safety, and the safety of our loved ones. Next thing, we are already on the penultimate one. Remember to subscribe, comment me, share this valuable content with that person who will surely be interested in it, and like it if you like this content, and to reach as many people as possible. Is that they will stalk you. They will stalk you. Not all narcissists are stalkers, and yet some become. They will stalk you. They will be obsessed in some way with you, and suddenly, well, you are going to be stalked. And suddenly, well, then you will see that the world has eyes. It has some extra eyes. Suddenly, when you go here and there, you notice that something is watching you. And you may come to think that, well, you are not well. Well, sometimes it may be, and sometimes it may be that you are watching, observing, and controlling. They always try to meddle in the life of their ex-partners, even if they are not partners, right? We are always talking as if they were a partner, but you know that this can be extrapolated to the other partner. That this can be extrapolated to all interpersonal relationships, friends, family, even at work. Even at work, they always fantasize about meddling, and they always fantasize that their ex-partners, in spite of having left them, are still in love with them, which is often true. And this does not have to be a sufficient excuse to come back, of course. In addition, you have to take into account at this point, keep in mind, be very careful if you have put this zero contact, especially in a recent way, because in some way, in a recent way, it is not a good excuse to come back. Recently, because somehow in messages, in digital stories, they will try to stalk you, control you, or contact you, so you have to put the shutter tightly closed so that it cannot pass anywhere. The last thing the narcissist will do after your goodbye, after you leave, is to move on and look for another supply. He needs a supply. This is like this. And once he realizes that it is possible that this will not happen again, well, he has to continue. Repeat itself. It has to continue. This can also be done together with the techniques of trying to get a new aspiration, etc., etc. This does not mean that he does not have other interests and other matters. He may have more than one activity at the same time, right? One activity at a time, right? So he may be trying to get you back and then obtaining your supply again. They can also alternate between the two at the same time, that is to say, between you and him, the new person, therefore the new supply, until seeing which of the two interests him more, and normally they do not usually discard them, unless it is very clear that the person, for example, one of the two could have discovered that he is a narcissist, and it complicates the situation too much. What is clear is that they always seek to maintain control, and they have a firm understanding of how things are, how they should be, and how they want them to be, and they will always go for those things in that particular way. Always go for those things in that certain way, that is to say, in their way. With their way of doing things as a final personal conclusion, well, here we have a series of things that they do when they lose you, that they will do when they lose you, right? And look at the stories they make up to get you back. In short, we have mentioned 10, and of those 10 there are many. To try to recover you again, notice that a narcissistic person needs another one to subsist. She is dependent. A narcissistic person is dependent on others. That's why many times they don't have only one supply, they have several. That's why they triangulate. That's why they play the game of having several people and feeding themselves in favor of some and others. And feed themselves in favor of one or the other, and even comparing one with the other. In short, it reaches a point where the suffering they can generate is very noticeable if we talk about all this that we are talking about, triangulation, comparison with others. And even infidelity, explicit infidelities, that is to say, even if it is not consented, that is to say, they do it, they say it, and they know that the other party does not consent, and yet they do it and they say it explicitly, they do it and they tell about it. Well, in fact, all of this reaches a point of significant suffering, a significant level of suffering, an important level of suffering. The other party is quite confused, quite passive because of all the confusion and manipulation exerted on it, a lot of gaslighting, a lot of projection, a lot of distortion of reality, right? Minimization, justifications, denial, even denial. And yet it is important to open one's eyes to this reality and say one day to stand up and say, this is it. We all have the tools and the necessary resources to get out of this hell, but we have to look for them. And how do we look for them, Gemma? Well, we look for them when one takes the firm step to say so far, right? To say, I'm done. I can't take it anymore. I've hit rock bottom and I don't want to go on like this. I don't want to go on in this situation anymore. This way, I don't want to go on in this life. And many times it is done for fear of loneliness because many people are also dependent, and that does not mean they are narcissists, right? And they prefer to be in a relationship like this. They prefer to be in a relationship of this type. Look at the level of humiliation and suffering that we reach, and be alone when alone. And then when they finally are, even if it is by discarding the narcissist, they realize after all the bumpy patch has passed. Of the emotional dependency that may have been generated, they realize that they are much better off. Don't wait to be discarded as that which is no longer useful, right? As if you can't give more fuel. Don't wait for that moment when you can't give more fuel. Don't wait for that. Fuel, don't wait for that moment. Discard yourself now and start prioritizing. Start to prioritize yourself. Take the clothes of your life, right? Take the clothes of your life and realize that your life is there. You don't know until when. And it seems that we come to live for life forever, and it is not so, because suddenly one day we are no longer here and nobody remembers then. While we are here is while we can put a solution to things. Take your life's rendas and do what you have to do to get out of this suffering and torment if you really believe that you have to do it and you want to do it. Well, I leave it here. If you have come this far, don't forget to subscribe, comment me, share this valuable content with those people who surely will be interested in it. Thanks for getting this far, and see you